I was thinking about you, and I hope you are okay. And the, those listener that I have, um, that was in the early stage, in the beginning of when I did my podcast. It's not my podcast; it's the Heavens podcast. But they tell me what to tell you. And in the beginning of my podcast, for I don't know how long I have been, my podcast have been about 2.5 years. And it, many things that have been told for you in the future, and told to me also about the future have coming true. And we are now in this, what they tell us, and I didn't really understood the full of it, because I am a human also. It's only that I hear from heaven, but I don't hear myself. It's from heaven, it's coming, and they know our future. And it's very much today here in Sweden, in the southwest of Sweden. I live, but it's for the whole Europe, and maybe it's for other parts of this planet also, that the food have been so very expensive. And I have just watched how it's have been working with this, with the money for the food, and it have raised up it in about over 18% more money for the food and for gas and electricity and everything. It's a spirit already now, because he told me, or she told me, that belong to this, what we were saying in the beginning of the podcast. We say it should be a very hard time, and you can listen at it. There is proof of it if you listen at those early parts of the podcast, that they are saying that it should be a very hard time, and they say it should be a wave, and they're talking about the pandemic that we had just got, but they say that's a wave that flowing over the world, but they say it's going to be like a tsunami, a big wave, and it's hard when ordinary people have hard to buy food, and some people are used to go out and eating fast food, and of course that is good that people doesn't take and eat fast food because it's not good for the body. But many people have hard to stay away, to stop by at those fast food restaurants and bring home food for the whole family in fast food. And those it's some vitamins and minerals in them, but they don't really know how to do the nurturing, fully give you everything your body needs. And it's sugar in most everything they do. So it's be very much carb and sugar in it, and they have going on and do it more salt, and that is not good for the body. You can control it by making your own food from scratch, but that's young people don't know how to do it. It's many years ago that I got some question about how to make a gravy sauce, how to do it. And for me, it's nothing. It's so simple to do it because I have that good thing that I was born into restaurants. So I don't need to look at anything, and I look at what I have to eat in my kitchen, and then I put together products to make it nicely to eat. It's very seldom I fail that I do something that is terrible, bad to eat in taste. It's maybe once a year or less. And so this in that time, for about 2 years, 1.5 years ago, they were telling that it's a tsunami is going to be. And I don't know, because I am by myself, and I don't have anyone to feed more than myself and give money to myself. So I don't know how you have it. And so they say the highest product here in Sweden to buy is sweet pepper. And I have dry some sweet paprika I have eaten in winter time now, when it was cheap. I have taken away the seed, so I will grow it outside. And I have they're talking in the program like it is that you eat food immediately, directly from where you have bought it. But I cut it, sweet paprika. I cut it, and I still have sweet pepper from my garden, from Jesus' garden, to eat in the winter time. It is like they think that we don't can lay it in the freezer to eat it piece by piece. And then is it also that you can buy dry things. You don't need to go to the grocery store. You can build up. I have like a home pharmacy in my home. So I am always, before it's go empty, I have already one set up of medicine. But the vitamins and minerals that I have bought for 1 year ago, and I have placed them so they don't go waste, and I can eat them today, and they last this year at least. So you don't need to eat vitamins and minerals from fresh food. You can also store up when it's cheap to buy vitamin and minerals. And I don't need to go and hunting for C vitamins fruits. It's nice to eat it, but in a time when it's so expensive, I have very much of C vitamins in pills, tablets that I put in water and drink it. So I don't. I say to myself that it's hard to because I think like I must eat fruits to get the C vitamins, but then I say to myself, you have store up C vitamins and D vitamins, these from before, and they last a long time to keep them. So I am not frightened about get something disease of that I don't eat C vitamins, because I do that in another form. It is not so fun to eat food from dry things that you don't really see, and it tastes maybe not like strawberries when you drink that C vitamin tablet. But you know that it's working in your body to do, and so sometimes I have drinking C vitamin to the food I eat, and more healthier than to take something Kool-Aid or something like that. And many of these juice is very sweet. It's much sugar in them. I try to find, if I should, when I have buy use for sell, I look for that is not from concentrate. It's going in as it is, the fruit, and not from concentrate. It's this that the product have been in more steps to produce and take it to you in more steps. And that I try to avoid this concentrate. Then if it is, I don't buy it, and then I take C vitamin instead. And but it is value to freeze it down. If there is something that is for sale and you buy it more than for one dinner one day, you buy more, and then you cut it up in portions to could eat, and freeze it so it doesn't go waste. It seems like young people forget that there is a freezer here in Sweden. Is it in every home? And that I don't have so big freezer but it's only me that live here, so it's working. Because when in the beginning of my podcast, Heaven's podcast history, they told that the tsunami should come. The pandemic, COVID, was one wave, so they didn't say it was a big wave. They say it was a big wave, but it was not a tsunami. But they say after COVID-19 will it be like a tsunami? And it seems like this is worse, because when people don't have anything to eat and money is going to eat, and it be depression of it, people go angry about it, and that cause problem around them when they are going out. It's more easy to snap or kill someone because of that. So that is a target for the devil, this to do, because most people are not in this peace of mind. They are. He is showing me this that is here, that want to talk, and his is like a hard wind. They going and have the hard wind around them, and they go in focus on themselves and try to survive. He's showing me a man in a strong wind holding himself together could go forward. That's what he's showing me about this time we live in now. And the man that I see, he is not have no peace in his mind. He is not. He only want to break through. And if something stop him to go forward, he snap and can kill a person or be killed because of people defend themselves, or he meet the same sort of person that struggle, and it be a fight inside their family home, and divorces, separated, they go away from each other. And he laugh. He think it's very nice, the devil, because he's one of his tool. One of the biggest tool he have is to separate people from each other. And that's what he have done in my life. Because if you have been in my life, been together with me and walked with me, you have seen the change of me, and you have seen, I have been told you that you will ask me what have happened. You look different. You should have say that to me if you were my close friend in reality. And I should say you that it stood a higher priest in my home. I was on my way to make a suicide, but I didn't, because in my home there stood a higher priest from heaven and talked to me about the past, what have happened to me in my childhood that I didn't see, because I was when I was about 30 years old, we had a class union. We meet each other with half of the people that was in the class, and we met, and I was abused. I was kicked on. I was nothing in my class. They hate me. They did everything to harass me, and then I'd be surprised when I sit there in the class union, and then they started to cry, 2, 3 people, and they told to the class that they have been so bullied. People have been so very bad to them when they were in the school, in the class, when they were young. And I'd be surprised because I had not see it. But that was because I tried to survive only from those people in the classroom. That was bad. And that is it for many people, that the devil like that you be separated from those other in the class. And then I wanted to call. I am not into calling a telephone people. I never do that. But one day I was thinking, I will see if she is alive, my teacher for the school. And it was in when I was about 14, 15 years old. We have a nice teacher that her husband was a pastor. So she was very much into God. But I suppose it was Jesus, like most people. But I was thinking, she's nice, and it was before the higher priest stood in my home. I called her, and she she was old, of course, as I am old now, but she didn't really know who I was in the beginning when we were talking. But then she said, now I remember, she said, suddenly she had to go through all the kids first to see where I was. And I told her my name that I had in the school. So, and I say, oh, now I know. You are the little girl that always was silence. You never talk. And you sit way back in the classroom. And I was worried about you. What could happen to you? And I know that she was home to my parents and talk about me to them. But my mother was like, everything should be perfect. So she didn't say anything about what hell I had in my home. It was just after my parents have divorced, because my father was so drunk every day. So she didn't say that my father was a heavy drinker. And they were divorced, and I felt, because in that time there was no one that divorced. I was the only girl that had parents that was divorced. And I felt so hard when we should tell us our father's names when we come to to a new class or a new teacher, they ask us loudly that we should tell our fathers' names to them, right out, saying, so the whole class heard it. And I didn't know what to do in that time when they ask. And they ask and ask me, and I was thinking, what should I say to them? Because my father is not in my home. And so I have to say that my mother's name. And they going very deep thinking, because they have not heard any child whose parents was divorced. But then in the class came a girl into the classroom, and my mother was much older than those other children's mothers, and it's come a new girl into the class, and she say how, and it was this, that they ask how old your mother is, also into the name. It was not like today it's a secret things. It was so that no one was divorced, and the parents was in the same age, and I was different from those other because my mother was old, and the girl was saying that her mother was in the same age as my mother, and I was so happy to hear it, that she was saying her age. And then I come home and say, there was a new girl, and her mother was in the same age as you, I say to my mother. And then she questioned me, asked me things. And then my mother, maybe she was talking to my teacher about, you have a mother that is the same age as me. And then my mother found out it was her grandmother that was in the same age as my mother. She lived together with her grandmother. And so my mother was 42 years old when I was born. And that was a high age in that time. Today, old women can place in an egg in her body and get a child in high age if they have money. But in that time I was born, could only be pregnant natural. There was no egg to implant. So I now I have forgot what I was saying. So I have to take help of this spirit that is here, and he touched me very hard. So I have to ask him, what was I talking about before I start to talk about old age in my classroom. He said that I was bullied. He remind me, I was bullied, but I had enough to survive of myself, and being alone and no one wanted to help me. And I remember when a girl was fighting with me, because I was not weak. I was only bully. And if they come before me and was bad to me, I fight back. And that's what I got for God to do what he have done to me, that he chose me to do the work, because I was not weak. So I didn't really knew how to fight, because most of the time is it that you start in home and you fight like a game with your brother and sisters, and you start to know how to do it, to make them be down on the floor, that you learn when you grow up. But we didn't have that, because we tried to behave the whole time. Our parents was like that. There was not like today that the kids are free to do whatever they want in some home. And I fight back, and I remember one time it was at least 20 kids around me, and I was laying on the ground, and that girl that fight with me, she was sitting on me and knock me in my face, and was saying bad things to me. And then come a teacher after a while and separated us, and say to the kids that was standing there that they should go away, and took away that girl that was sitting on me. And the kids have not going away. So it was like a ring of kids around me, and they still was saying, kick her, you destroy her, and these things they say to that girl that had been sitting on me. And I was laying there on the ground, not could go walk up for a time. And then it was very hard and sad. I was not crying, but I was so crying inside me. And because I saw those kids that belonged to my classmates, and no one say to me that I should fight back and hit the other girl. All kids in the ring was on her side, and that have it been my whole life, that it is the one that is evil and fight me that have all the people around them, and to want them to success, the evil side. No one of what should be the good side is not there for me. I see you crying now. There is some of you that maybe have not thought about it, that no one was for you. It was only to survive. That's what it was. For me, I have no one. It was the teacher that come and separate all these kids, and the one that sit on me, she said to her to walk up from there and stop fighting. And many times it's okay to cry, because it's be easier for you if you cry away memories. And it was like, it's for you, the spirit is targeting you in this way to make me, remind me, because the teacher was coming and separate us, and then she come to me, filthy, bleeding, and you suppose that she should say that, don't be worried, come with me and we go to the bathroom and clean you up before you go into the classroom, like that. No, it was in at least 95% that person that told me to go up from the ground. She was angry at me and make me be more sad, because she didn't care about me. She was angry at me, and I was sometimes into the headmaster to get this fight, and I have in that time I had to do more homework, because I have been bad when it have been those people that have bullied me that was bad, but that it was because I was strong, so I was not weak, so I fight back. But it was not me that started the whole thing. But it was like someone wanted you to be weak and not fight back. You have to lay there and let people kick you and be mean to you and have the victory, feel this victory inside them, to make it like it's acceptable to fight with people. No, the teacher didn't say anything to the other girl. She only told her to stand up and walk away. And then she took me, that was already laying on the ground. You know how it is, how you feel inside your heart, that no one care about you. And my parents, my father was a heavy drinker, so he was never home. And my mother's, when in that time when my father was drinking so very much, and he had been kicked away from his nice job, and my mother had to take care of everything in the economy. So they have bought 2 cafes, and my mother walked away about 6 o'clock in the morning, and she come home at 10 o'clock in the night from her job the whole day. So it was no one to tell what have happened in the school. And she never asked how we have had it in the school. She never asked. And I think that's why when I got my daughter, when I was 33, I got my daughter, and I promised myself to always ask her how it have been in the school today. I always, it was only 5 minutes to take a break and sit down with her and ask her how was your school today? That should be automatic thinking of parents to sit 5 minutes every day to ask your kids how it have been into the school. And if she have asked me, my mother have asked me that, not once, because you need to ask that many times in many days. It's not at once, because then you don't want to say it. But if she asks, or your father asks you every day, 5 minutes, how it have been in school, and before homework, taking up the books, after that you have talking how it was in the school. That makes so much different the whole life for a child, that you care about what they are doing in the daytime. That I ask her, how about your work? What did you do in the school today? I say to her, ask her. And my daughter loved the school. She hates semester. She didn't want to go from school. If she could have done it, she should have been to the school the whole day long, because she loved the school so much. And I think it was because I asked her how it was in the school, really care about how did you have on your work? What did you do in the school today? And sometimes she said, Mother, it's not my work, it's a school. But I say to her, that's the work, to go to school and do those things that you have to do in the school. That is also work. And I told her also that to make homework much, much easier, I told her from the beginning, I really care for her school. And I told her to have notes. Make notes what your teacher are telling in the classroom. And you remember it, and you can answer the question in your homework. I told her, and she have a notebook with her all the time, and write up what the teacher was saying. And I was, when we were in Texas, in her school, I joined the parents to be like a class mother for the class, and we had many meetings about how to treat the kids and psychology to take care of kids. And I was, and my daughter was so proud of me that I belonged to the team in the Texas school. And I was also, before we it was before God come and talk. It was when I didn't know God. But my daughter was very proud when I was a class mother in Sweden also, for her class. They ask when the kids come to the school, and the teacher asks if a parent want to be the manager, taking care of the kids as class parents. And I say I can do that. And I had already my work, and I was this manager for those that rent apartments. But I had that work also. So so I taught my daughter that the school is very important, and that is, you get the kids in what you are doing to them. And there is some teenager I have met when I was teenager, and later on also, that I'd be very surprised when they say that they grew up in a Christian home. Their father and mother was like pastors, and those teenager and kids was the worst of everyone. And I understand it today, because the parents was more into preach and get money in their church than to take care of their kids. It's very seldom a child is self-going. The parents or those that is around it, that belong to the family, need to teach the children what to do and what to say in their free time, not in the school, because that's stuff. It's working people that help the kids inside the school, but in the free time, and when they grow up, someone that is in the family that you can trust, and you by yourself as a parent should teach how to do life, how to act in situations. And I tell you now that my daughter is chat with me. She have some people from her church that is listen at my podcast, but I don't care that you listen, that what I'm saying about my daughter. She should not be target for you, because what I'm telling here in my podcast about her. But she have changed, my daughter. I have talked about how bad it have been with my daughter, but nowadays she's chat with me, and she chat with me yesterday. We have a camera on, so we see each other, and she seems so much calmer from the first time we were chat. Then she was moving around the whole time. But yesterday she was sitting like me in front of the camera and talking. And we were talking adult talk, because she is adult. She is not a kid. So that is no more between us. And I think it's where she have changed, because around her there is, in the church where she live there, it's young people, it's kids. She belonged to the oldest there, and it's playing the whole time, and the church are playing very much with those that is in the church. It's about a daycare in that church. So I think she have not adult talk to people so much. So that's what she do with me, and she is so very good in history, the world's history. So now I can ask her about history, because I have never been good in history. I have learned now from my family tree. And when I do the family tree, I learn history. But when it is some question I have in this, what was it before in the history, I ask my daughter and she can give me the answers of it. And we are coming together because of the family tree. That's what the spirit is. The spirit that is here. I know he clapped me on my head, in the top of my head. I get many claps. That good, you understand how to do it. And it is to talk to my daughter in adult things. And she is still into her father thinking, because she lived with her father when I left to go homeless in United States. I couldn't take my daughter with me because I didn't know where I should go. And when I left, I knew I took the flight from Copenhagen to Seattle, just there in the Canada border up in the north, because a man was telling me that he have a job and an apartment for me, but it was a lie, and I have to travel away from that area because there was nothing. And I come to Chicago. A friend I had that I have talked about, that he was related to me. He is in my family tree, and he bought a flight ticket to me to come to Chicago area. And then when it was evil going on in his home, I ran away and I come to Florida, and he paid for that ticket to come to Florida, and there it come all the bad things going on. But I have talking about that in the whole way in my podcast. I started to teach you about where I come from. When I think I started to talk about when I come to United States and was homeless in United States, and he had not $1 in the pocket. Total homeless, that no one else had this homelessness that I had, because people have parents, they have friends, they have a car to lay in and sleep, but I have nothing. And when I come to United States, but I sit here, I survived, and I dropped what I was talking about. It's but it was a struggle. Yeah. It's he touched me again, and he said that you were talking about that you couldn't take with you your daughter to be homeless in the United States. That's what he was saying. So that you have to understand. I couldn't take my daughter with me and to United States. I knew I have to obey God because I was on my way to make a suicide. And first the higher priest did I see standing in my home and talking to me about the past, about my childhood. And and then suddenly he left like in fire, and I was scared about it, that he left like a fire, but it was not consuming fire in my home. And then only a few seconds later on, it came a very clear, loudly voice and talk about my future. And I didn't see him that was talking like I do today. I don't see all of these spirits that is coming. Sometimes they give me some pictures of themselves, how they look like when they lived here on earth. But I don't see them most. Those I don't see them really clearly. This one that clap on my head, I don't see him at all. I only felt over my head that he was clapping, but I didn't see. I saw a hand, like a hand in the beginning, but then it disappeared. But I continue to feel it. And so I knew it was God that was talking to me. But then, as I have been experienced about UFO, aliens, before I knew God, am I not sure who was talking to me, because he didn't show me how he looked like. And then but I let it be like that. It can be from another planet that they are talking to me in telepathy, or they are inside the room, but they have this no reflection clothes or whatever item they have that make them that I can't see with my eyes, because there is no reflection of them. So I only hear a voice in the air, in the mind. It's telepathy. So I can continue to call the one that is like a master for them, that is God, and because he is a master of them, and but he maybe is an alien. I don't know, and I think I should let it be like that, and it doesn't matter, because I am not in a religion anymore. So it doesn't matter what to call him, because he know when I'm talking to him. He know who I'm targeting my talking to. So he know me so much more than I know myself. And that's the same with you, that he knows more than you know yourself, because he have placed you here on earth. He have placed me here on earth. And it is some walk you should do here on earth. But you that is not under God, that God come and took me out from everything and let me start over in the United States as a homeless. I didn't have anything more than two suitcases with clothes. And as I should go to Seattle in December, it was when the same date I left Sweden to go to Jerusalem in December now. I should be there. And I was in December in 2000. I left everything and I come to Seattle, and it was winter, so I have to bring with me winter clothes and summer clothes. So I needed to have 2 suitcases. But I didn't have any money with me. So this spirit is he do good things, but he disturb also my thinking. So now I stop to know what I should say about it. But it was impossible to bring with me my daughter. But she have a father, so she was staying with him for 3.5 years, and that affect her, that she see him as her mother, both father and mother, and she don't have ignored me, but it start to come into her, because one thing that took her, because she don't get so much money in the church, but she working for them 24 hours, 7 days a week. And her father doesn't give her so much money because he have a new woman living with him. And those women he have, they always tell him to not support my daughter. So he maybe do that in secret, but he don't give her so much money. And then I say to her that I had got some money this week from people that have listened to my podcast. They have sent me some support money because of this man that I should walk with outside. I have to pay him for do the walk with me. I have no one that walk with me for free. I have to pay him. I say to my daughter, and it was like she was wake up, that I make money in my podcast. There is people that listen to my mother. I saw that she was shaking up, that she had no thinking of me that is worth to listen at. And then is it also that I say I was to her church when she should get the keys to my home if I was not coming home. So I said, I give you the keys. So I took the taxi to her church, and I saw I had not been in her church for 5-6 years, and I saw the difference of people, different to those that have that church. And it was different. And I told my daughter yesterday, I said, when I was to you and your place, your church, I saw it was very different from before. something have changed. And she sounds like she's a little angry, and I think she's scared also, because she say very rapidly, very fast, that people have leaving the church, she's saying. And that was the second time she have said that to me. And I say to her that it's not only your church. They are leaving, people leaving the church all over the world, because they be not fed. As the Bible say, you should be fed of your church, and that have nothing with food to do. It have nothing with money to do. To be fed of the church is to feel like you understand what they are preaching about, and what they are preaching about make you increase in knowledge about God. It have nothing with literally to feed. It have with your spirit that should be fed, and they didn't fed the people in the church. So even if they were relatives, they left. And it was different now, and I could talk to the pastor like I have not could talk to him before, because he was proud and thought I was nothing. And then I could talk to him. And so that also make her come back to me in that way. And I have told her for many years ago, I asked her, what will happen with you if the pastor and his family is leaving Sweden and they go into Texas and start a church in Texas? I say to her, and I said, and she answered me that will never happen, she say, because the church was strong in that time, and it was before her father have got a new woman in his home, and she will go angry at me because I say that. But as a prophet, get these things inside my mind. I knew it should happen, and it have happened now. But maybe is it only the start of it, because the pastor is sick, and he talking to me like it's over. I'm old. I can't do it anymore, like that. And he doesn't look so strong like he did before. So it's time for me to end here. I wanted only to talking to you about this with money, about the food that they have already told you. And I obey them when they say that. So I have stored up food. I started to store up when they say about this tsunami and store up. And I store up because it was COVID-19. But now it's COVID-19 almost over here in Sweden. But now it's coming this with the bills, with the electricity and gas and food and everything is raised up. And they say at the news it should raise up very quick. It's not staying on this level. It's going to increase even more. And I store up, and I have some food not only canned goods. There is other things I have, for example, these vitamins and minerals that last to 2026, 2027. And then I tell you, my husband from Texas, he was a chef in the restaurants, and he was so very scared about that food that have expired. But there is only this fresh food that can expire in that way that can poison you. Because I have eaten canned goats. I take them and they have expired, but they are still good for some month more. They are not allowed to have the date it's going poison when it's expired the date. They have to leave it for some month more, but they have to say when it's excellent in the can, you should eat it. But then it's fade away a little of the taste, and maybe not so flowing. But I am born in a restaurant, so I know. There is food 1 year old that I eat today, and I am not bad in my stomach. I spice it up and do something else with it and eat it. So I am not dependent on what it should taste. It's something else I do with spices in it. So that's what you can do. It's not food poison if it's not fresh. If it's in a can, in a glass bottle, that you can eat even if it's expired. But if it's inside a plastic container, that you need to know the date and not eat it after it says it's expired, because the plastic also change by time and make toxins to eat it. So, but those that is in cans in steel, those metallic things, they are not. You can eat it even if it's expired. So don't throw that things away that holds in the metallic container. Only those that is fresh and in plastic and is have been open. That you have to take care of before the date is expired. But I bought metallic cans to store up. I have some glass that doesn't go bad in glass, but plastic go bad. So thank you for listening, and I hope you find something interesting into this episode. And I thank you. Oh, he left me now. I thank the spirit that come and talk also. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I love you, and God loves you more. He loves so deep. He knows you.